Dig Dug of Rangers hosted this new player training event. Why am I here? Well, just to check it out, see what's going on, say hello. In honesty, I could use all the help I can get, but I did learn a couple of things. I even won a game time token at the end, and made some friends. So, check it out.
Let me kind of explain that system to everyone. So, the way encumbrance works in Darkfall is you can see over here my armor penalties. The lower your magic encumbrance is, the faster your spells will be to cast, and the more effective they'll be. So if I were to have higher magic encumbrance, I generally try to shoot for this number to be below 6 for myself, because I like playing a little bit mage heavy nowadays compared to melee, even though I used to be way more melee. So I try to get this number below 6, but you could generally keep it under 10, honestly, if you're a mage. And if you want to go a little bit heavier, if you tend to, melee push a bit more. So that's what Feather does. Feather basically gives you less magic encumbrance, less encumbrance overall, which relates to magic encumbrance. Destroyers, be aware, you will have archery encumbrance as well if you're in a full heavy set, so just keep that in mind, So now moving on, the rest is just bone armor, except for the hands and the boots and gloves here. I do full plate boots and gloves. Some people do leather boots and gloves, and they do full plate leggings. It's really up to you. I tend to go this set, and it works for me pretty well. As far as the jewelry, see, I'm a mage, so I don't put any enchants on my jewelry to save a little bit of that money. Because we have stone skin, so destroyers, you obviously don't have stone skin because your elemental, is blocked and everything like that. So I would say, for you destroyers, definitely 100% put slashing protection, and I would put piercing protection. And the other change I would make for destroyers too, on your necklace, instead of putting stamina efficiency, put arrow protection and put stamina efficiency on your chest plate. Does that make sense for everyone, kind of? As a destroyer, you want those protections.
I think piercing only relates to polearm damage and knives.
Yeah, so right here,
so
major pockets just link me all this stuff right. So there's the stamina efficiency on the chest, slashing protect, bludgeon, and piercing. Yeah, so even piercing, yeah, it's a good call to put on. Like, just having those extra enchants as the Destro really makes a difference. Like, I'm sure all of us have fought against, I'm just throwing some general net Destro, like Bug, Bird, G-Bunny in them, and they just feel really tanky. Those guys, one, they're good players, and two, they wear good gear bags and everything like that with these enchants on there. So it's really important that you guys get that, as destroyers, get those enchants rolling. So moving on to the weapons. So for a mage, so this is a R60 staff. You definitely don't need an R60 staff. To be honest with you, this could be a Black Bolt. This is Q3, mana efficiency 0.14 and magnitude 0.28. Q3, like I said, it's just an all-around, good thing you can use, wear, whatever. So I definitely shoot for mana efficiency if you're a mage, and magnitude. Now, destroyers, on the other hand, for our heavy users, instead of mana efficiency, you want to put casting time, because yet again, that goes back to self buffs. You guys do not have Hasten Spells, which you guys can see right here. So Hasten Spells just makes your spells go faster. So you want to be, mages that goes back to our self buffs and everything like that. And pretty soon here, I'll post a list of all the spells in the game and each school that's efficient to use and all that. As far as a melee weapon, so you can get away with an R50 melee weapon. No, that's actually my R60, but I went ahead. I think this is actually a Q2 and Q3 enchant on it. So you want to put Keen on your melee weapon. It's your best thing you can use, easy, and this is your basic gear set. 3 full plate pieces, all those enchants I listed. Hopefully, if anyone was confused, you can PM me about it after with the enchants. I can break it down a little bit better. It's kind of a speed run, but enchants in this game are very, very, very important. I can't explain how much better it makes your gear set. It really does a lot. And Q3, if you're a newer player,
real quick example.
Yep.
For that rank 50 keen, that is going to be equivalent to an unkeened rank 60, but cheaper.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, so that's why when you guys go out farming or any of this stuff, looking for PvP or anything, I highly suggest putting at least a Q2, Q3 key enchants on your gear bags. it's going to make a load of difference. You're going to feel it immediately if you haven't been doing that. So it's kind of like one of those things, like unwritten rules in Darkfall, where you make your gear and then you have to put enchants on it, and then you can really see the difference, especially like the stamina efficiency, the mana efficiency. Like if you find yourself running out of stats in fights, put Q3 stamina efficiency on Q3 mana efficiency. I promise you'll see a big difference, huge difference. All right, so moving on to the next subject. So I'm going to touch briefly on the weapon bars and how it kind of works. So this is really important. This was not in the original Darkfall. This was only in the ROA. So I don't use it for my melee weapon because I'm old school. I like my old keybinds from DFO, but I highly suggest you guys use it for your melee weapons as well. But I use it for my staff, and I'll show why. So I will go over to my rays, where all my rays are. So I press X for all my rays. And this is the order I have them into. And this is important. Like, I think a lot of you guys should probably mimic this. I think this works well. So I start with Impale. I go to Dragon's Breath. I go to Lightning Bolt. I go to Unholy Caress, Insect Swarm, Frostbite, and then I put Pungent Mist at the end. So I'll be honest with you, you can use Pungent Mist very effectively in this game, but it costs a lot of mana and a lot of resources on your end. It's almost 26 and a half mana to cast it. So I'm not a big fan of it personally, but you could definitely use it. Good players use it. It's good for group fights when calling out a target or blinding someone. But definitely, if you like it, go for it. Find a good bind for it that's not on your Ray cast. But if you're not a fan of it like myself, like it's not one of the crucial PvP spells that you need to be, a competitive player in the game, in my opinion. So going on to the weapon bar. So if you guys hit your paper dial, you open up here. So this is the weapon bar down here. So now if you right click on your array rotation and you open these two screens at the same time. So this is where this matters, and it's huge in Darkfall. So I keep my staff on weapon bar 2, and then I right click this or left click this, and it brings up all my ray settings. Cycling mode, I go to first available, and the reason I do this is because I front load my best rays. So I think my Impale, my Dragon's Breath, I could even switch and Holy Caress. These ones are kind of arguable, but these two right here, being the Impale and Dragon's Breath, are the two best rays in the game, in my opinion. They do the most damage. They hit, pretty, easy to land, in my opinion. But, compared to like Lightning Bolt, that's more of like a projectile in a way almost. But so if you hit first available, and then watch this. So if I start hitting my Ray key and I'm going through all my rays, watch Impale come back up before I get to the end. See how I casted Impale right there? So by setting first available, it'll go back to your first ray if it's off cooldown before it gets to your last ones. So that's really important, in my opinion, for DPS and all that stuff. So, and then the next thing I click is autocast. So autocast means when I click the button, it's going to go ahead and just cast that ray immediately. So I don't have to left click to shoot it. So right now, all I'm pressing, so I'm at my, melee weapon, or I'm at my melee weapon right now. I just hit X without pressing anything else. My right hand's off my mouse and it shoots a ray. I don't have to left click, nothing. So that's crucial for like DPS and speed. The more spells you throw out in a fight, the more DPS you're going to do. And DPS matters in Darkfall, keeping up that pressure. This game is very pressure heavy nowadays. So that's, really important to set up. So here comes the weapon bar slot. This is where, the new system comes in. It can be a little bit confusing. So you could trigger weapon bar slot and click this. And then I go to slot 2, because that's where my staff is, in slot 2. And then, so what that does is that allows me to have my melee weapon out and just press X. And it's going to use my weapon bar slot and cast this ray rotation at the same time. So, if I'm sprinting around, boom, 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 then I press X, it's just going to ray. This is just me pressing X right now, nothing else. So that's crucial in Darkfall for speed and everything like that. So definitely, if you guys if no one had that set up, I highly suggest taking a screenshot of my thing right now, setting it up. If it's giving you a bit of trouble or anything like that, feel free to message me afterwards. I can help you figure it out easily. But it's almost crucial if you play a mage to set this up.
Did you expand your hotbar real quick as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you expand your hotbar like that?
There's a little button down here on the right. See, I play with it not like that. And my hotbar is kind of a mess. I'll be straight honest with you guys. Like I said, I've been playing this game a long time, and I kind of know what spells are off cooldown based on when I use them and everything like that. So this is how I have my hotbar. The Darkfall's weird. I don't suggest you try to copy mine. I think you try to fit something, like find something that works for you. Like, because I'll be honest with you, your experience in Darkfall, and I'm actually glad you asked that question. Your experience in Darkfall really comes down to how well you understand your binds. If you know your binds, learn what the spells do and how to use them, you will have a much fun, like way more fun in Darkfall PvP. So keybinds are huge in Darkfall and figuring out what works for you. Like, I go over a quick few of my keybinds here. So like I said, X is my Ray, E is my Fireball, Shift E is my Magma, Q is my Inferno, Shift Q is my Blizzard, V is my Toxic Rain, which is like my AoE, Caps Lock is my Begone, all my movement spells. So I go from Begone, Stormblast, all that. My Come Hither's middle mouse button. Let's see here. There's a whole bunch. We can keep going on and on. Like, I doubt anyone will remember any of that. But like, point being is you just got to find what works for you and really prioritizing what spells to, you know what I mean, are important in the game, in the rotation, and you know how easily accessible they are to you. Like, for example, like your Ray button's really important, so I wouldn't suggest making that like the number 7. You know what I mean? Because that's, you know, you're going to be raying a lot in Darkfall, especially as a mage. So it's just finding a keybind that, you know, you like, easily accessible and stuff like that. So, you know, keybinds is like one of those weird things where, you know, you just got to find what works for you. You could definitely work with a veteran player one-on-one and he can give you opinions and stuff like that. The one thing I will say about keybinds is if it's an aim spell like a Ray or something, I probably wouldn't suggest putting it on your, you know, mouse with 18 buttons on it or whatever you got, because of the fact that I promise you, like, if you press something on your mouse, you're slowly moving your mouse without realize you're compensating and this and that. It's going to throw off your aim, in my opinion. So that's something I probably wouldn't recommend. Now, movement spells, self buffs, that's stuff you could put on your mouse. Something that doesn't require aim, maybe an AoE, even like Toxic Rain, where you're kind of holding it for a second. So that's something you could put on your mouse as well. So definitely, you know, something new. Yeah. Where were we? Oh yeah. So trigger weapon bar slot. So does that make sense? Does anyone got any questions about this? Because this is really important. I want, you know, if anyone does have any questions, like speak up. You know, I'd rather explain it now. Or does everyone kind of got the grasp? But I know a lot of people here already have this set up. I just wanted to touch on it if no one did. So we're good.
Hey, how do you do the binds so you can have like a buff staff?
Yeah. So you could definitely set up like a buff staff and some like a ray staffs and stuff like that. Now, what I will say is be very careful, because unfortunately there's a bug in the game right now to where if you have 2 different staffs, one on your hotbar and one right down here, like there is a, you know, bug where you get stuck in a animation with a casting bar. They're working on it. I brought it up to them multiple times. They acknowledged it, the TRS staff, but just be careful with multiple staffs. If anything, I would say, you know, if you're going to buff up with a staff, maybe just double click it in your inventory for now. You know what I mean? Then you hit all your buffs using it like this, you know. So that's what I would do for now. And I would, you know, just stay with one staff for the PvP so you don't get that bug, because it is frustrating when it happens. It happened to me in 2 fights so far since I've been playing again. So, and I just don't want to see it happen to any of you guys. And I know it happened to a couple guys at the Rangers Siege against Shettleman and so on both sides. It happened to people. So just something to be aware of. But yeah, if you want to use a buff staff or anything like that, just, yeah, I would just double click it in your inventory for now until they fix up. All right. So any other questions before I move on? Okay, cool. All right, so let me close my hotbar because I cannot play like that. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point, regular user. You can use the ray staff, but you got to make sure to switch off force switch. But I think it happened to people with force switch on before, so that's something to definitely keep in mind of. So all right, so now we went over the gear bags a little bit. We went over the weapon bar. So now I want to kind of dive into the strafing mechanics in the game. So working, you know, joining Barrow and starting Rangers and everything and helping new players, I've noticed like when I start dueling a lot of new players, I see a lot of people strafing like with A and D. So what I'm doing right now, if everyone like go back into the game and look at my character in front of you. So this is called A&D strafing. As you can see, imagine we're fighting each other and I'm throwing spells at you like this. Look how easy I am to hit right now, right? I'm very, very easy to hit right now. So what you want to do is, so this is called power strafing. So that was A&D. This is just me pressing A&D back and forth. And I see a lot of people doing this in fights, not even in duels, just in Rangers or in Rangers Alliance or anything like that. I see it out in the world when I'm, out fighting other guys and, and other new players that I see. So what you want to do is called power strafing. So instead of pressing A&D like that, power strafing, I call it power strafing. Who knows what the actual name is? Power strafing is literally using my mouse to move around. See how much more harder I am and how much faster I'm going here? So whenever you're loading up spells, casting your rays, this is what you want to be doing. You want to be power strafing. Now, the one thing I see a lot of people do when they power strafe, and I think it's wrong in my opinion, is they power strafe and they're just going crazy like this. Notice how I'm power strafing right now, but I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just going crazy on my screen, but I'm kind of staying in the same area. I see a lot of people doing that with power strafing, and you just need to be careful of that. Make sure when you're power strafing, you're not, you're being unpredictable. You go this way for a second, you drop back, you go back this way. Another thing people do when they power strafe as well, and it's very predictable, is they'll go this way, they'll cast a spell, then they'll go back this way. They'll keep doing this. If I did that 2 spells in a row, you guys know what I'm going to do on the 3rd spell, right? It's definitely something to... I'm just getting messages here. Oh, shit. Let me get someone a Discord invite real quick. Apologies. Okay, cool. So does that kind of make sense with everyone with the power strafing compared to A&D? And like I said, with power strafing, you want to be unpredictable. Never do the same movements. You can go this way for a second. Thing I really suggest whenever you're power strafing as well is everyone tune back into my stream real quick. And can I get Barrow? Can you come out here for a second? Or yeah, Barrow's right here. So everyone tune back into my stream and go ahead and watch my character. So the one thing I do suggest with power strafing, especially as a newer player or returning player, is you keep the enemy in your sights. So whenever you're power strafing, try to keep them, you know what I mean? And the only reason you do this is try to keep them in your view whenever you power strafe, is you don't want to give up back hits. So a lot of the time, so imagine, all right, yeah, you're good, Barrow, appreciate you. So imagine a lot of the time, let's say we're all 1v1ing. I'm 1v1ing each of you. We're in our own separate fight. You guys are a little bit mixed. Now, if I go to power strafe and I do one of these numbers where I look away, what am I doing right now? I'm giving you guys my back. Exactly. I'm giving you guys my back. So that just means you guys have to hit a lucky arrow, a lucky ray, and I'm getting back damage. So that's why you want to always keep the target in front of you. So whenever you're power strafing, you're only giving them your side at most. So that way you don't give up those back hits, because there's very good players. They are going to, hit those rays. They're going to hit those arrows. So the less time you give up your back, the less damage, DPS, the enemy's going to do to you. So that's definitely something to consider. Let me see what other notes I got here. Okay. Does anyone have any questions with power strafing right there? Or they want to branch off on any ideas that I touched on?
I don't have a question about power strafing, but I kind of got a question about builds. Okay. Say, how viable would be a heavy hybrid build if you want to play that playstyle? Is it you can make it work, or you just don't play it?
So that's a good question. So heavy hybrid could definitely work in this game. It really depends how you play. So obviously, the main two, I don't want to call them classes, but the main two playstyles in this game are going to be mage and destroyer. That's really what it comes down to. So I would say, if you play a heavy hybrid, you're going to have to use a good bow. You know what I mean? You're going to probably have a higher end staff, like a ray staff or something like that. It really comes down to having good gear to play that kind of play style, and being kind of supportive with a haste, buffing your Destros, stuff like that, playing a little bit more melee heavy because you have your stone skin buff still. So I mean, it's a viable build. I honestly, it comes down to one of those things where if you're a good mechanical player and you practice on a build and you really understand it, especially something like that, I would say you'd be successful. You know what I mean?
Depending on your encumbrance level. you're going to lose a lot of value in terms of your casting time, but also casting effectiveness, especially for your heals. You might end up playing around your Unburden a lot, and whether you can apply pressure or whether you need that Unburden to heal up will kind of be dependent on you, but you're going to lose a lot of value if you start pushing your magic encumbrance up into Unburden range, like 20 to 40 plus, let alone above that.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you were to do that, that's what I mean. Like you're going to have to use like a ray staff or something along those lines. I mean, you could get away with not using it, but you're going to be more melee heavy, more archery. You know what I mean? So, you know, definitely practice with it. You know, if that's something you're interested in playing, I say by all means, give it a shot, you know? But you know, if you want to play heavier, I do suggest probably going Destroyer. There's a lot of, you know, upside to it. The only downside, I guess, is like PvE farming, because it's a lot harder for a Destro to farm than a mage, in my opinion. But good question. All right, so now we're going to move on to healing and stat management in a fight. So for this, it's kind of hard to do in Red Moon. So a lot of the time, I fight people, and they're hitting the same amount of spells as me, except they're not healing up throughout the fight. So a lot of the time when I start a fight, I'll kind of go over my I'll kind of go over my like rotation if I were to start a 1v1 or even like a 2v2 or something like that. So let's just say, you know, I'm starting a 1v1. I usually start off with a rank 9. I move into an AoE, and then after that AoE, I already start hitting my transfer. I start healing at that point, because you're going to be taking damage like fast, you know what I mean? They're going to be hitting their 90, they're going to be hitting their AoE. Just remember to keep statting throughout the fight. So if we break off and we go do group duels, which it looks like we probably will at the end of like after I'm done talking all these lessons, just remember to really go ahead and like push for you know, healing throughout the fight. Keep statting, keep statting, keep statting. Like when you're running someone down, like I'll be honest, in Darkfall combat, a lot of the playstyle has changed over the years. Like when you're 1v1ing or even 2v2ing, your whole goal is to get someone's health lower than yours, and then you want to push melee. So like, for example, if I'm fighting Reborn Supremacy over here, this the wolf, and even though he's a destroyer, if I get him, I'm hitting my rays, I'm hitting my 90s and everything. If I get him down to, let's just say 60% health and I'm at 90% health, I want to push him in melee, because you're going to do the most damage in this game right here. Right here is where you're going to do the most damage in this game. Melee's very strong in Darkfall, whether you're a mage, destroyer, any of that stuff. So definitely, and pretty soon here, once we get it to that, you know, that point when I get to it, I'm going to talk about a melee style that's really good for new and returning players. It's about keeping track of your target and not giving up your back. So when we break off and do group duel, like probably not group duels, but 1v1s, like I want you guys to practice this melee style and try to see if you like it. And but yeah. So just remember that, you know, like, so let's just say I'm fighting Reborn Supremacy, I'm getting them low, and I'm going in to, you know, hit them. So when I'm going in, you could throw a heal, you know what I mean, while you're closing that distance. You don't need to be pure damage the whole time. You know, if you're not 100% health, just keep statting, keep healing. You know, the longer you live in a fight, you're not going to lose if you're alive, you know? So just always keep that in mind. Like treat your, you know, conversion spells, your Witch's Brew, all that stuff, treat them as almost like a cooldown. Like, you know, most people, like, you know, we always use our 90s on cooldown, this and that, like our impales, we use that on cooldown a lot of the time. Think of your transfers like that. You know what I mean? You know, like there's rays in the game. You can spam rays, you can spam rank 90, such as Blizzard. Like it's, you know, it's really good. It's strong, man. So definitely, you know, push melee. I can try to get the upper hand, and yeah, so keep statting while you're pushing melee. That's like huge in Darkfall, absolutely huge. And so that's going to bring me to my next point. And a lot of the time in Darkfall, I see so many new players come to the game and they don't realize the importance of sword and shield. What I'm doing right now is the most broken thing in the game. Most broken thing in the game, using your sword and shield. So if I have my melee weapon out, I just hold right click and it brings out my shield and it parries for me automatically. Everyone should have that set up. If you go to on your hotbar, you right click and you should hit auto parry and then set bind to whatever button you want. I use right click. I think that's a really, really good, you know, button for it. Like, use this a lot. Use this a lot. Anytime you jump, make a bad movement, or you need to like make distance, like a lot of the time, even when I'm making distance in a fight, I'll even like jump kite with it to make distance from a destroyer. There's nothing wrong with this. Play it safe. Make them disable you. You want them to disable you. If they're not going to disable you, you should win the fight. Honestly, that's how strong shield is. So just always I would even say 20, 30, 40% of the fight, use your shield. Have it out. Use it. They can't do shit to you. It negates 85% of the damage, 90% or something like that. It's absolutely cracked. Has anyone got any questions as far as those two subjects with healing throughout the fight? Are they, having problems with stat management while using transfers or anything? Or shield usage?
Is there a reason, or is it just old habit that you have it on the hotbar and not on the weapons bar for your sword and board?
That's just me playing since 2009. I'll be honest. It should be on my weapons bar. I'll be straight out. I just have it on my hotbar. I suggest you guys probably put it on your weapons bar. It's probably a lot faster, a lot easier. But for me, this works. You know what I mean?
Is there a certain rotation that's better for with the healing?
Great question. So that's another thing I want to go over. That's a really good question. So with your transfers and heals, this is why you want to keep transferring throughout the fight. You notice when I was pushing Reborn right there, and it's a little bit harder because we're not in an active duel, but notice when I was pushing Reborn there and I went ahead and did one transfer. Now imagine if I waited and I didn't heal at all till I was 50% health. Look how much downtime this is when I do my whole rotation. And the whole time, what am I going to do? I'm running away from him, so I'm giving my back. Look how much downtime that was for me to do that whole healing rotation. You
can do the whole healing rotation, or you can juggle them.
Exactly. And it's way better to juggle them. You'll have way more uptime. I promise you. Only time I really do my whole healing rotation, one, I don't think I ever have my healing rotation up at the whole, all together at once. I'll be straight honest with you. But the only reason I would do that is if I'm really going to die. If I think I've been dired, I got no cross heals in a group fight and I need to get out of dodge because I got 4 people on me. That's when I'm doing my whole heal rotation. And even then, I'm probably thinking about Stormblasting or Begoning or, making distance. So just keep rotation at once, because I promise you, once somebody realizes you're doing your whole heal rotation, they're going to go full offense. They're going to get some back hits on you while you're trying to make that distance. Does that kind of make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet. Let's move on to, let's see what the next topic is. Okay, so this next topic is cool. So landing non-raise spells. So can I, Reborn, can I get you to step forward right here? So keep coming up a little bit. All right, everyone take a look at Dig Screen again if you can in Discord. So this is an important mechanic in Darkfall. So I see a lot of new players when they come to the game and they're trying to cast spells and stuff. So this is the correct way you should be trying to land your spells. So this right here is what I consider Ray range / 90 range, even Magma Storm, stuff like that. So whenever you cast a spell, I see a lot of new players do this. They cast it, but notice I missed him there. So it went behind him and it didn't do any damage. So what you want to be doing is using your 90s, your Magma Storm, your Fireball, your AoE spells to splash the floor. So whenever I shoot someone with a spell, if we're at this range, we're actually fighting. See where I shot that one? You want to hit the ground around them. So because he's going to be moving around. Go ahead and move around, Reborn. Play sporadic. Shoot your bow at me. Notice these would be hits that I'm doing because I'm aiming at the ground. I might not be hitting direct there, but at the same time, I'm getting that splash damage in, and that's crucial for Darkfall. So keep that in mind. And that even goes for IROT, for example. So I see a lot of people they'll shoot IROT and they aim it right here, when in reality, you should be aiming it at their feet. IROT, you can even land an IROT. If Reborn was standing right there, you can land an IROT over here where I'm looking, it'll still blind him, even if you missed by that much. So always make sure for anything other than raise, your raise being, hit scan basically, you want to be aiming at people's feet. It's crucial for DPS in a fight, throwing Destros off. It's really, really important. So whenever you guys are 1v1ing and you're in that sweet range or anything like that, always aim at their feet. The only other thing that you probably shouldn't aim at someone's feet is bolts. So bolts are the level 1 spell and all the elemental magics, like acid, this is what you farm golems with, whatever. So this is the other spell you probably don't want to shoot at people's feet. And even then, I don't suggest using bolts in PvP unless you're pretty advanced. I would suggest bolts for killing mounts or something like that instead. But if you do find yourself, you like using bolts in PvP and whatnot, and you want to throw that into your rotation, that's another spell to look at them and not the feet. So
did you mention magma? Did I miss that?
Magma. Yeah, so Magma's another one of those where You know, you can even aim, and if you aim it at their feet, like go ahead and move around, Reborn. Like, of course, we're not doing damage because we're in Red Moon. Like that might have been a knock-up right there. You know, if we were actually, you know, whatnot. And another cool thing about Magma, sometimes if you're lucky, that if you aim it off to the sides or whatnot, like sometimes they get a bad bounce and they actually go flying like 20 feet this way and they actually take fall damage sometimes. And I'm sure all the vets know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of a little bonus with Magma Storm that you sometimes get for aiming it at their feet and whatnot. So any questions on that? Okay, cool. All right, moving on to closing the distance and melee fundamentals. So I'm going to show everyone kind of a melee style that I enjoy to use and what I suggest new players and people coming back to the game use. So, of course, we can't do damage to each other right now. Like, I'm going to keep saying that, sorry. But what I want to show you guys is, like, can I get another greatsword user out here real quick? And I want you guys to watch Dig's stream here. Kink, Kink, you in here? All right, Kink, yeah, come on out. All right, so me and Kink are going to pretend to be hitting each other here. So watch how I play this melee engagement. Even though we can't hit each other, look how I'm keeping him in front of me here. I call this the S key melee method. So the whole point of this is so I don't give up my back and I get back hits. It's almost like trading in a way. So this is a big reason because I see a lot of the time, a lot of the guys. So go ahead, Kink. We're going to do this again. I see a lot of people do the old style of like figure eighting and whatnot. So watch this style. Look at this difference. You know, if I'm doing this, so he would probably be getting back hits on me right now. You see how I'm not really tracking him as much and I don't know where he is compared to the first time. And I'm just kind of guessing if he's behind me or not. So that, in my opinion, you will, especially against good players, they'll take advantage of that and you'll be giving up back hits. So I highly suggest you guys try to keep the target in front of you and use that S key melee like this. Just, you know, swing your sword into him, you know. You don't need,
even though you say S key.
Yeah. So it is kind of like an A and D strafe, and I press S key, something, you know what I mean, to basically go backwards. Because if they're coming into you, essentially, it's like you just don't want to give your back up. You know what I mean? So if they're W keying into you, I'm kind of just matching it with an S. You know. So yeah, even if you guys like go watch a couple of my PvP videos that I put out from this version, you'll see my melee style and kind of see how I incorporate that. And you'll be surprised by the amount of times where you think that'd be trading. But so many people do the figure eight method that if you're doing that, you'll just get a back hit on them. I promise. And plus, not only that, but you're tracking them better. So as soon as they pull out a melee, you can go ahead and ray them real quick or do whatever you got to do. So it's a really strong melee style. And it's all about keeping the target in front of you and keeping an eye on where your target is. Like knowing where your target is crucial in Darkfall. And a lot of people in melee, they just kind of swing rapidly and throw their screen around. Nah, control it. You know what I mean? Keep them in front of you, swing at them, you know, do damage, you know? Keep track of where they are. It's really, really important in Darkfall.
What do you find the best way to keep people off of you from melee then?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we're going to touch on here. So let's, it's kind of hard to show here, but one thing you could do, and the biggest thing I do, is before we even tap into that, so whenever you get into a melee exchange, the way I do it is, and like I said earlier, I don't know if you guys should remember, and it's important, is I try to melee only when I have more health than them. You know what I'm saying? That's when you should be trying to melee. If you have way less health than your enemy, you should not be pushing melee. You should be using your sword and shield, you know, statting up, using your sword and shield and whatnot. So the way I do my melee fights, if I go into melee and they hit me 2 times to my 0, I look for a disengage. Because you're off tempo, they're on tempo. You're not going to win that melee exchange. If you go into melee, they hit you 2 times to your 0, they hit you 3 times to your 1, you're down, and you're probably going to keep being down. They're about to get that critical hit going. And so what I suggest doing in that case is there's 2 different things you could do. So let's just say you have cooldowns. So one thing I don't suggest doing, do not use Be Gone. If someone's on your back and they're just staying on you in melee, do not use Be Gone. Because if you Be Gone and you go, let's just say someone's on my back, they're hitting me, and I, you know, little server leg. But if someone, you know, Be Gones and they're right behind me, they're just going to follow you. They're going to take that Be Gone with you, and they're going to be still right on your back. The best spell you can use in that situation is Stormblast. Always. Stormblast is, I want everyone to think of Stormblast as their #1 get out of jail free card. Stormblast is your oh shit button. And if your oh shit button's down, your Sword and Shield probably going to be your best friend after that. So the way I hit my Stormblast, let's just say I get a bad melee exchange. I'm meleeing, and then I got to switch to my Stormblast, so I use push to talk, so I'm like messing up my keybinds. But so when I Stormblast, I try to hit it like right about here. So if I'm sprinting, if anyone wants to tune into my stream, I'll kind of show you. So if someone's on my back, I try to throw it a little bit in front of me, and your character runs into it. Oh, that's actually a bad one, my bad. But so what that does is it breaks distance, and it actually throws the person behind you like backwards. So whoever's meleeing you right there will go backwards, and you'll go forward. So you're gonna break a lot of distance doing that. Yeah, like that was a good one right there, Sutter. So that's your number one get out of jail free card whenever you want to break distance in melee. So now let's just say your Stormblast is on cooldown, and you got no tools, you're disabled, and you got nothing left. So the best thing I do in that situation, I use it quite a bit, especially against destroyers that are very aggro, is let me get a Destro out here real quick. Someone, Reborn, you want to come out here? So let's just say Reborn, go ahead and stay on my back. Of course, you're not hitting me. Let's just say you're meleeing, and I want to break distance from Reborn here. So he's hitting me. I'm going this way. I'll fake this way, and I'll change direction. If he's on me still, I'll fake one way, and then I'll immediately 180 and go the other direction. So watch, he's going to get on me here. I'm going to let him get on me. So he's on me in my screen. I'm going to go that way, that way. You see how many times I turn? You can even do it multiple times. Like, it's just smooth. You know what I mean? Pick one way, do it quick, go another. It's straight line. And we're going to get a little more into Destros here in a second, and how to handle Destros and how to fight them and everything like that, especially as a mage, because a good Destro can be absolutely devastating really quick. Oh yeah, so just keep that in mind. You know what I mean? Whenever you're meleeing, try to keep the target in front of you. If you got to disengage early from the melee engagement. Like I said, if they hit you two to three times to year 0, or their 3 hits to year 1, get out of melee. Just get out. Promise you, nothing good will come of it at that point. Yeah, I touched on that a little bit, Major. So does everyone remember what I was saying with Begone? That's why you don't want to use Begone whenever you try to get out of melee or anything like that. Because if someone's on my back, if Reborn's on my back and we're in the PvP zone out there, if I Begone, they're going to take this Begone with me. So where I went just here, they're going to be coming with me with that same Begone. So that's why you want to use that Stormblast to really break the distance. And like I said, with Stormblast, I try to aim it pretty low, get forward, and see where I landed. They would literally go the opposite direction towards the Sea Tower clan station over there. So just something to be aware of. Definitely someone is on your back and your impulse does knock them back too. As small of you. So yeah, so you can use impulse as well to break the distance. I would definitely use Stormblast before impulse. But at that point, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. They definitely won't ride the impulse, like Begone. But yeah, I think impulse is another one you could definitely use to get out of dodge if you need to. So cool. Any questions on breaking the distance or knowing when to melee in a fight, and how to disengage in melee?
Yeah, I think if you have a Destro on your back, you should shield. If you're a mage, you should shield up first, then get distance, then Stormblast.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, having a Destro on your back is a totally different, you know what I mean? Like, you can get clapped out in 2 seconds if you're not careful, right? Yeah. So definitely, if you have a Destroyer on your back, play your cards right. Use your shield. Yeah, like, if you're not disabled, like, you're okay with your shield out. You know what I mean? Just track them. You could even use that style I talked about, doing a quick little turn. 1, 2, go one way, quickly the other way. A good sticky back guy will stay on you every now and again, but that's just a good play by him. But yeah, wait for your Stormblast. Use your oh shit button. Then even impulse can be even used as an oh shit button to get out. All right, moving on. So next, we kind of touched on it right there. I should have done this lesson first, to be honest with you. So I want to talk a bit about bunny hopping and the spells you use to bunny hop. So keep in mind, a lot of our vets, like I said earlier, we have a lot of very new players with us and everything. So the 3 movement spells in this game that are used for bunny hopping, you could see them underneath my hotbar right here. My cursor is on my screen. Is Begone. So it's going to be Begone, Impulse, and Stormblast. That's going to be your 3 movement spells. Destroyers, you will not have Stormblast. There is other ones in the game, such as Magma Storm. I'm not really going to touch on that. We're going to keep it pretty simple. But Begone, so every race is different. So the way Begone works is, I'm a dwarf, Mahirims are going to hit theirs differently. Humans are going to hit theirs differently. So you want to put it in front of you. I bring out my melee weapon to see better, and you want to just keep jumping. So, like, the best way to do it, everyone's different based on ping, everything like that. The best suggestion I can give is make sure those spells are leveled up, all 3 of them. And I'm not sure about Impulse, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Impulse just does more damage at a higher level. I'm not sure if they changed that, to be honest. But your Begone and Stormblast, you want to level those up to level 5 at least. Even mine's at, my Stormblast, even level 4 myself. So, level those up, get those up. It's really important for movement in this game. Movement in this game is everything in Darkfall. Resetting. Like, if you guys go put on the bird PvP video right now, like, I promise you will see him go melee, and then he'll hit a, Impulse or Begone out. You know what I mean? Reset, like, in the middle of a group fight. It's like, movement is crucial in this game. So definitely, practice your bunny hopping, practice your, different, how to use your ping and everything like that. And, if anyone's really struggling with it, like I said, throw me a message. I can work with you one-on-one and, point you in the right direction, watching your screen and have you share it and see what I see from your point of view. All right. So any questions on bunny hopping and storm blasting?
I just want to add something, if I may.
Yeah, for sure.
You can double jump during the bunny up with the mini weapon out. It kind of gives you a free jump.
Yep. So yeah, that's another reason to switch over to that's why I switched to my melee weapon. You can do it with your staff. It's kind of an exploit, but that's why I switched to my melee weapon whenever I hop. You see that double jump I do? So yeah, no, that's a good point, and it's very good to do, especially if there's like a little rock or something. What's up?
What about concussion grenades?
Yeah, so I didn't really want to bring them up because it's not really like a new, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I guess it is. So there is something in the other like Magma Storm you can use, but there's also concussion grenades in the game, guys. That you could buy. They actually sell them on the auction house. You can pick them up. I think they're like 300 to 500 gold each, and you can actually use them. And it's basically like a grenade you throw at the ground. You jump right before you're about to use it, and you go flying in the air. You can take out your melee weapon and double jump again to make distance. So it's a little more of an end game mechanic. If you're newer or returning to the game, I wouldn't really worry about it right now. It's not going to win or lose you fights at this point in the game, But yeah, that is another mechanic to use for money hopping. So good point.
Yeah, it's mostly for Destros.
It is a big Destro thing. Well, even mages to get away from a Destro. That's actually where it's key because you don't have your staff out.
Yeah.
Also worth mentioning, if anyone doesn't already know, even if you are not jumping, if you're spamming spacebar, you're consuming stamina. So
Yep, very, very good point. So yeah, don't spam your spacebar because you're just gonna waste stamina. It counts it as a jump each time you press it.
Is it worth mentioning water hopping?
So I didn't want to touch on that right now because that's a bit more
fair. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like race dependent and ping dependent and everything. But there is, it's worth bringing up and letting people know you could definitely do it. So whenever you guys hit water and you go to the sea tower or do any of these events, there's bunny hopping in the water. What you use Begone and you use the spell Explosion. And you can actually hit like an impulse after and whatnot. It gets pretty crazy in the water. But that's definitely something we should probably make a video on that now. I think that'd be the best play for water Begoning.
It's different with every race.
Yeah,
right?
It's different with every race. Mm-hmm. So
the best tip for water Begoning is figure out where your water Begone point is and put some UI element on that line because it's 100% consistent. The horizon is always going to be where the horizon is in the water. You line something in your UI up with it, you can water Begone perfectly 100% of the time.
Yeah, very true.
Well, as long as your ping is consistent.
Yeah,
it will change to ping dependent.
What should be when the New York City servers hit here. I'm really excited.
It'll definitely vary based on race as well as ping. But also your resolution will have an impact.
Yep, that's true too. It's just one of those things, guys, that water Begoning is just kind of like a, thing you learn over time and, definitely practice in your spare time. And like I said, if anyone's having trouble with it, and we're not really touching on it today, shoot me a message. I can record some POVs of me on the dwarf doing it, or I have an Elfar alt that I use. And then always feel free to record with metal or something and send me a clip, and I can take a look at it. And we got a lot of vets in here too, and I'm sure they'd be able to help you. So another little trick I want to show for our Destros, and I think it's good for our mages to learn too, because I don't see many Destros doing it, and I got caught with it the other day, is so there's 2 spells in the game, and Destros, you should be using this. It's called Unburden. So Unburden, what we talked about with magic encumbrance earlier, if you go ahead and cast it, it lowers your total encumbrance, so you don't have magic encumbrance or anything. Now, a trick you could do with it, since it's a greater magic spell, and a confusion is a greater magic spell, is you could pretend your Unburden is a confusion, or pretend your confusion is an Unburden. So like a lot of the time, so if a lot of you'll get a lot of vets with this. So like this, I'm loading up an Unburden right now, but I'm looking down at the ground. I put money on it. Most vets in the game will think that's a confusion, and they'll be ready for it. Or they'll look away or something like that. So you could really trick people out. Now the way you really do it with the opposite is, like if it's a confusion or something like that, you can go like this, not look at the ground, look down real quickly and pretend like it's Unburden or something like that. But if you're looking at the ground, most people know it's a confusion coming, so you could really throw people off with using your what's the spell called here? I call it encumbrance, but with Unburden. So nice little trick for Destros. Mages, look out for it. You know what I mean? There's a couple good Destros in the game that use it, and it's pretty effective actually, especially if they catch you with the confusion doing an opposite.
I have a question, somewhat off topic, but when it comes to cross healing, is there a better rotation for cross heals, or?
No, so cross healing, like the way I do it, I always start with my sacrifice. Sacrifice is the best heal in the game, so I think it's better than heal other. But yeah, no, I mean cross healing just comes down to group knowledge and realizing. The one thing I do see people in group fights not doing is if you're in the back of a group or you see someone not full health or anything like that, like you could just start healing them. And even in the clan, whatever clan you're in, or this, that, and the other, like, vocalize with them, tell them like, if Reborn's over there and I see him in the fights, like, let's just say the fights, is over here where my Blizzard's going, and I see Reborn back here, like 40% health, and he's away from the fight as a destroyer, I'm going to be like, yo, Reborn, I'm getting your heals, go forward, go forward, go forward. And like, I'm telling him that in a fight, you know what I mean? So like that's one thing you could definitely do with like heals and everything like that, is just be vocal with your heals. Let people know you got them. If you see someone in front of you, you know what I mean, and they're not full health, they're 60%, 40%, for 30%, heal them. Throw your sacrifice, throw your heal other. Just be proactive with it. If you're chasing someone down, bunny hopping, and you're out there zerging, because I know all of us do it. Like, if you're bunny hopping after someone, especially really good people like Fowler or anyone that's really good at running away, like cross heal for a second, help your guys up front, So, hit your heals, as you go. So cross healing is really, really important. More people should do it. Always cross heal. Cross healing is going to be way more effective than healing yourself in a group fight. So, good question. All right, moving on. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit. We're almost done here, guys, and then we're probably going to go start doing the fun stuff, a little bit of duels, and see how that goes. But I just want to do a little quick tip for fighting destroyers. So whenever you're fighting a destroyer, sound cues are really, really, really important. So let's just say, Reborn, like go ahead and come over here. So everyone get back in the game and watch my character here. So, all right, go ahead and get on my back, Reborn. And then when I break the distance with melee, I want you to switch to your bow and arrow. So you're on my back. I'm going to try to break the distance here. 1, 2. Are you still on me? I'll do it another time. Okay, now he's at his bow. So when a destroyer switches to his bow, everyone kind of knows how long it takes for that arrow to release. And if you don't hear that bow noise, you could just keep running. The worst thing a destroyer is going to do to you is insect swarm you in the back. But I promise you, it's better to eat an insect swarm than it is to eat a melee hit from a destroyer or a bow hit. So whenever you break that distance, so go ahead and chase me, Reborn. All right, so you're on me, and then you're off me. So look at me just straight lining right now. So now he's using that. So now you can actually kite back and forth to where he doesn't hit, you know what I mean? So it's just a matter of like listening for that bow sound and everything like that. Now destroyers, now going the opposite way, is like whenever you're chasing someone as like a destroyer, you want to straight line into them. So like I don't even have bow and arrows on me. Can you trade me like 50 arrows reborn real quick? So I'm not a water fighter, guys. I'm letting everyone know that now. I hate water.
Little
fighters.
mage privilege.
Yeah, a little mage. I'm going to bolt down a golem. So check this out. So go ahead and break distance on me, reborn. Everyone check my stream. Go back into my stream real quick. I'll give it a second. So let's just say reborn, go ahead and he breaks distance from me. So notice how he's strafing and look how I'm closing the gap to him. I'm just straight lining to get back into melee, So now he's strafing again. So now he's going to break distance. And because he doesn't hear my bow, he's going to straight line. So I'm out of distance. He's straight lining. I don't have my starter bow bound. Now he hears the bow. So he's going to keep, see how he's doing that now? So I'm shooting my bow. So he's going to start doing this. Look how I'm closing the distance, just straight lining at him. Now I'm back into melee range. So as a destroyer, that's what you want to look for. That's what you want to do. You want to use your bow almost like a tool. Yes, it does a lot of damage, but you want to use your as a tool to catch up to them, because once they hear that bow noise, even good players, they're going to start strafing. They're not going to give you free hits, especially when they're on the run. So just keep that in mind. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of destroyers whenever they're chasing someone that's doing that, they'll like follow the chase movement. I don't know why they do that. Just straight line at them. If they're not doing damage to you, just close that distance faster while they're power strafing left and right to not get hit. So that's a really big tip for destroyers. So just go into them. You're going to take damage in Darkfall. It is what it is. It's just about healing it. Does that kind of make sense for anyone? Or is anyone confused by that?
Makes sense.
No, that's good.
Is that where like melee special attacks would come in, like whirlwind and stuff?
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really touch on that. So I'll be honest, I don't really use special attacks in melee except for whirlwind. Whirlwind's the most OP special attack in the game. You know what I mean? You could hit people basically, pretty far range. It's almost like an extended sword. As sword even gets bigger sometimes with whirlwind, it feels like. So the other ones, the power attacks and stuff like that, if you're a new player, I wouldn't really worry about landing the power attacks and the C's. Definitely don't use C's. The only one you should be using in PvP, in my opinion, to start off is whirlwind. Now, as you develop as a player, you can mess around with the power attack for great sword and daggers and stuff. Go for it. The only one I do suggest using the power attack for is probably going to be Great Axe, if anyone uses Great Axe, because it does a big debuff to the person. So especially if you're fighting like a Destro, another Destro, if you're a Destro using an axe, or even a mage using an axe, like I would try to hit that power attack because of how strong it is. But other than that, like the whirlwind, I don't even have it bound. Or not whirlwind, my apologies. The great sword power attack, I don't even have it bound. I don't use it at all.
He doesn't mean that for disables, though. Disable is
my apologies.
For anything.
Disable is useful. And touching on disabling, since we're going to that, I didn't have that in my notes, but you want to disable someone like all the time. Like you shouldn't wait till they're parrying to disable someone. If you get a knock up in the air with a magma storm and they're about to land or something, you're underneath them, start off with a disable. You know what I mean? It's always good to disable someone, even if they're not parrying in that moment, because a good player will parry 3-4 seconds later, I promise.
Do the like for the hammers and swords and everything else, do the different damage to for different armors still, or is different in this one?
So yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like hammers do blunt damage, daggers and pole arms are pierced, I believe, and then
Yes.
great axes and great swords are slashing. So that's where it comes down to what enchants you put on your gear, especially your rings for you Destros out there. Mages, we have stone skin, so it's kind of pointless for us to rock Q3, slash protection as a mage, to be honest with you, because our stone skin does more protection. So, but you Destros, that's where it's important to do the bludgeoning, the slashing, even piercing if you wanted to. But it's super important for you Destros, and putting that Q3 slashing, blunt protection and stuff like that is especially for group fights, is really going to make a difference in your uptime in the enemy's group whenever you're being a Destro in their backline. So just be ready for that. And that's a good question though. And so that was actually mine. The disable was so the other melee weapon ability you guys want to be using too in group fights is the knockback. I just pulled up. So knockback can be used to, if someone's getting ganked and you're especially Destros and you don't have fireball, you don't have magma storm or any of that, you could go up and hit a knockback. in order to push someone off so they don't get the gank. You know, hopefully whoever you're fighting doesn't have the gank palette because that shit's OP. But other than that, like, yeah, that's a really good play to go up and knock back someone. But don't do it. I wouldn't do it any other time. Like, you know, if you're meleeing someone, like I said, use your whirlwind. If you're using a great axe, try to hit your power attack, but don't mess around with the great sword power attack, or you're probably just going to lose DPS for the amount of times that you miss it. It's not even a skill thing. It's just a pretty hard thing to hit, man, compared to an arcing sword that you can, it's got a bigger, I guess, like AoE on it that you can hit, or, whatever.
Just to add to that, the polearm power attack is also good if you're crazy enough to use a polearm.
Yeah, that's true. The polearm power attack is good if you are crazy enough to use the polearm. I'll be honest.
Their stats and their protection. No.
Yeah, so that's the thing with polearm, guys, is like they nerfed polearm, and back in like I think it was like 2010 they fucking nerfed it. It's just very slow speed now. Don't get me wrong, the higher end polearms, they got a bit more range and everything like that, but with the melee style nowadays, with how fast things are and sticky back and being a big thing now, like great sword, great axe, great hammer, that's going to be your bread and butter as far as damage and all that.
Just a tail end on what you said around knockbacks. Knockbacks function differently in yellow versus red zones, so just got to keep that in mind. They don't really work in yellow. Oh,
they don't? I didn't even know that.
Unless they've changed something since launch.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I mean, I would just fight it like it's a red zone, though. You know what I mean? Try to practice your abilities, how you'd use them. All right, moving on. Let's see. So knockups and disables. And yeah, so that's kind of like, all the little classes I had planned for this. Does anyone, before we branch off and start dueling, any questions right now that anyone wants to bring up? Or yep.
For mages, what about spell upgrades? Is there like any recommendations on?
Oh yeah, very good point. Very good point. So on all my bolts, so for example, let's go to my bolts. So for my bolts, I go ahead and put speed on my bolt for all my classes. And if you guys want to write this down too. So the reason you use speed, like I said, it's used for killing mounts and stuff like that. Be golems, it just, gets to the, gets the projectile to the objective faster. Fireball, I use jump. And the reason I use jump is if a Destro is just outside of range, you can, cast jump, with the fireball, knock them up in the air. So I use jump for fireball. Let me see what else I got here.
Is fireball one that you kind of cast at their feet when you're jumping to try and get that knockback, or are you just trying to hit?
Yes. Okay. I still tend to aim at their feet whenever I do fireball. I try to hit them directly in the feet, you know what I mean? So that I still get the knock up if I hit. But even if I miss, like fireball's got a little AoE on it, so like that's another one that, definitely aim at their feet and not try to aim at their body. Unless like, they're right on you and it's an easy land because they're just straight line and trying to sticky back you can aim it at their body, Yeah. But yeah, like if you don't know, you're not sure if you can land it, like aim it at their feet. Yeah, you'll still do something to them. All my rank 90s, so rank 90 being like Infernal, for example, I put speed because you just want it to get to your target faster so they can't dodge it or parry it. A lot of the time when someone knows there's a 90 coming, they'll use their shield, look at the ground to block it, whatever side you try to hit it on. So yeah, let me see. Magma Storm, definitely speed. You want to put speed on Magma Storm. But yeah, other than that, the other important one for spell upgrades, rot, you want jump for the same reason of fireball. If a destroyer is just outside your back and you just want to, a quick cast or whatever, you know what I mean?
Confusion.
Put speed on all my debuffs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you put speed on debuffs. Like, basically the only things you don't want speed on that I don't have speed on, I guess, is fireball and rot. I have jump.
Do you have speed on your other 50s? Like the ones that you don't? Okay.
Yeah, I have speed on it. Yeah, pretty much everything. The only ones I really... Because you have to remember, guys, and I didn't really touch on it either, in Darkfall combat, jumping is generally a bad thing. So you definitely want to be careful jumping. The only time I really try to jump is when I'm trying to break distance from melee against like a Destro, because if you jump even trying to break distance against a mage, you need to pull out your shield because they're going to array you. So definitely be careful of that. But yeah, good question. That was a good question. Any other questions anyone wants to go over before we try to do some duels?
Do you find that you get hit more because your back's so big because you're a dwarf?
Yeah, that's Hey, by the way, guys, Harry is looking for a new clan because he's not in Rangers anymore. No, just kidding. All right, cool. Anyone else before we hit the bank here and then probably go out a little bit north and get some duels in? Anything?
Whirlwind. Do you whirlwind when you engage? Do you whirlwind when you break? When do you whirlwind?
So I try to time my whirlwind based on if I try to get someone disabled first, because like if you guys like watch Lee stream or really good players, they'll know when you're about to whirlwind and they'll actually pull out their shield to block it. So I try not to engage with a whirlwind, but it's all situational. You know what I mean? Like if I IROT someone, for example, I might they don't have their shield out or something, or I know they're disabled. I might start with a whirlwind. Or even let's just say I'm fighting Reborn and we're both pretty high health. I hit him with an up in the air or something with an Inferno, and then like I want to do a quick whirlwind out, so I whirlwind and double jump out real quick against them or something. I'll start with just a whirlwind and only whirlwind. But yeah, that's kind of how I do that. That's a good question. Whirlwind, it's all situational.
Another important note for Whirlwind is the AoE originates from wherever you started. It does not follow you.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
So the second you press that button, that's where it's AoE.
All right. Anyone else? All right, let's all go to the bank. Deposit anything you don't want to lose, guys. Like I can't, it's a public event. I can't guarantee someone's not going to gank you. I'm going to do my best to make sure if someone gets ganked, I'm going to tell everyone, hey, turn on this guy, and you're going to get Zerg beyond Zerg, my friend. So keep up. We're going to do the giveaway after we do a couple duels here. So bank, if you don't want to lose anything, you could even bring out unenchanted gear, whatever you need. But bring out a basic gear set. And I'll give everyone like 2 minutes here. Go in and get on a mount. We're not going to go far. We're just going to go to the north. We'll put everyone on neutral and we'll get a couple duels in. But, try to put that stuff into practice. I'm probably just going to be watching and giving people tips as, not to be rude. I'm not going to call you out by name or anything like that. Just to see, we're all here to improve.
Is that a promise?
Like, Harry, I'm going to call you out.
Yeah.
A good lesson, man. Good lesson.
Natural
enemy
of a dwarf.
How many rigs should we bring?
I wouldn't bring that. Where we're going, we're going to go to a bank area. It's going to be a red bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not too far. It's probably like a 2-minute ride. All right, when you guys are ready, go ahead and mount up. Don't worry about grouping up or anything like that. We'll meet at the Bindstone, where we were doing the lessons at. Give everyone a minute here. So when we break off to do these duels, guys, we got new players here, we got vets here. If you're a vet, you get teamed up with a new player, give them some tips. You know what I mean? Like PM them in game or even in Discord here. If there's gonna be a lot of us in channel, so it might be a little too much, but type to them, whatever, and give them some tips if you get paired up with a newer guy. All right, everyone ready to go? All right, follow Dig. We are going to the northeast.